I'm sitting together with the jury, with part of the jury, because we are 12 or 11 of the FIPRESCI, the Fédération Internationale de critique Cinématographique, and the critics jury. So you're giving awards in 4 different sections: in the competition, in the encounters, in the forum, and in the panorama. We have Lamia from Egypt. Hello.
Hi.
We have Hamed from Iran.
Hi everyone.
Both are based in Berlin and speak some German. Later we'll do this maybe. And we have Anders from Sweden.
Hi.
So we just talk a little bit on the way of your work. I think all of you have been in a jury before. Is this correct?
Yeah.
So what can you say? Is it funny to be in a jury? Is it nice? Is it a lot of work? Are you happy to be in this pandemic Berlinale year in the jury?
You're going to start.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you say it's funny, yes, it's funny to associate with your colleagues. But I mean, it's the situation now with the pandemic. I think it's actually I appreciate that the Berlinale makes it a physical edition after all. Then again, it's a bit less crowded. You don't feel the kind of tension as in a fully crowded festival course. And to watch a film in a crowded theater, it's just close to the mic, yes. So it's a bit different. But then again, it's once you focus on the films in the cinema theater, then it really doesn't matter how audience-wise the festival is. But you can feel the difference. It's a bit scarce out in the town. You feel it's not that quite intense as it could be. So.
But we are all happy that there is an edition with presence and not with screeners. And in a way, for the market, some people told me that the biggest problem is the missing of chance, of the Zufall in German. But I think for us critics there is some chance. Yeah, there are chance meetings with people you met 2 years before the last time, and so on, and as well the way to get known to new people, like we all get known to each other in this jury week.
Yeah, exactly. Forgive me for just saying this, but I think it's the point of a festival is the meeting aspect, to meet new colleagues, associate, to make new contacts, to discuss films, and that is something Berlinale has managed this year, no matter the selection themselves. So we met, as you say, just a couple of days ago, so very appreciative.
Yeah, and I think being among the jury for different film festivals, a potential opportunity to discover a new perspective and reach new perspective to the cinema, especially for my section, Forum. I just expected to reach more and more new look to the cinema as a content, as a form, But in this edition, I'm really shocked with the selection because among 10 films I ever watched as a first feature and second feature
in the forum.
In the forum, I'm not satisfied with the selection, and I just shocked. I understand the attention to the different countries, and they want to have a representative from different countries, but the quality is not good,
Yeah, we have to be honest about that before Sedat and we said in another video podcast, we said that we like the selection, for instance, in encounters and in competition. The films we have seen, I haven't seen too many in competition, but half of it so far. And I liked encounters. I really liked. This is your section. We speak about this in a minute. But if the forum, for instance, is not as good as it used to be, we have to be honest with it as well. And it's for me, as a German, it is very important that some criticism of the Berlinale selection comes from not German critics, because some people think it's only the German critics who are against their festival. I think the opposite. It is that the German critics are too positive with their festival. It's like if it were the national team in football. But it's not like that. It's not about being world champion in football. It's about seeing good films from all over the world.
But that's a national. Sorry, that's a national problem. You always think you have to promote yourself in front of the world. You have to make the Berlinale the best festival in Cannes. That's the same thing. But what do you say about the Encounters selection so far?
Unlike Hamed and Forum, in Encounters we have really interesting films. Some are made by newcomer, and also some with well-known directors like Ferdinand Bonello. So it's really interesting to see films from many countries, and it's really interesting to have some films with a little bit thematically are alike, and some are really different from the others. So it's really interesting to see this film this year. What do you say?
No, I think that if you're talking about this, as Hamed said, the selection and the quality, it's obviously also a matter of taste and personal perspectives, of course. But I say it started out very well in the counter section. I think out of the first 5 films, 4 of them were quite excellent, to be honest. But then a bit downhill, to be honest, the last couple of days. That could be, in fact, I can just speak for myself, it's about a different kind of cinema. It's more about the essayistic films, about the kind of montage films, in comparison to the more featured, dramatic, traditional narrative films. So you also have to see what the quality itself, but also there could be difference between. I say this is a bit problematic sometimes. We have both documentaries and feature in the same section, and to judge and to put documentaries alongside features and judge them, it could be difficult because you have to apply a different kind of angles and different attitudes. So that could be one thing. But I'm slightly disappointed. I would agree to you, Hamed, that it's slightly disappointing to some of the
It's really important because, for example, if you just have a quick look to the website of Berlinale, you can find different definition of different sections in the Berlinale. For example, in my section they mention we don't believe the cliche category like documentary, like animation, like fiction, and it makes kind of expectation for the juries, for the press, for the public audiences, and when they are going to watch some films in this section, and they face with this kind of film, with this level of quality, it's kind of disappointing point, I think, because it's not enough you just pay attention to some cliches content. For example, we have a film from China against the dictatorship. We have films from Egypt against the LGBT community or in the favor of LGBT community.
So there is no film in favor for dictatorship. I'm really disappointed because this would mean real diversity. I think if it's just about
lacking the propaganda, right?
If it were about the form. Me personally, I have sometimes a problem with films. I'm not part of the jury. I'm just the coordinator. But I have problems with films which are just about the content and seems to be like the illustration of a content, which may be a great content, but then I can read a book, I can buy a paper and read the commentary in it. So I want to see form, and the form should be a content. And sometimes in films, the content is quite revolutionary, but the form is reactionary, and this does not fit.
But I think that's a kind of general question as well. It applies a bit to the encounter as well. I mean, you have a good topic, but why do you choose to make a film and not write a book and not etc. etc. And those questions have risen inside me. We have some. I don't want to mention a specific titles, but some films, kind of montage technique, etc. And I'm thinking, this works well, this works less well. But why not make a radio documentary? Why not publish an essay in online online magazine, for instance, make it quite elaborate in terms of visual, etc. This is a question which perhaps is a broader one, but it's also applicable to the individual titles. And in that sense, it's a bit, I don't know about the forum section, but it looks like, it sounds like from your description that it's a bit more, even more diverse in terms of genre, in terms of aesthetics, in terms of...
It is, if I may mention, it is, of course, there are as well colleagues which are now probably in the cinema, which vote for the competition and for the panorama. We don't have them with us, but it fits because Encounters and Forum, they have a hidden dialogue, which is that Encounters is the news section founded by the new director, Carlos Chatrian, new director of Berlinale. And it is more or less clear that it is meant to be a Forum 2.0 because the Forum is the only independent section. And it is clear for everyone that Carlos Chatrian does not like this kind of independence, that he would prefer to program the Forum as well. And as that is not possible, we see in the Encounters films which would have been in former years in the Forum. Debuts, radical styles.
Could you say it more experimental? Is that
more experimental, yeah. It's about, it's clearly this Encounters the section for the aesthetics, the cinematic aesthetics. Most, of course, we find great aesthetics as well in all other sections, but it's the program of the Encounters. That's the difference. And therefore, I think the Berlinale has a problem. This would be my opinion. Now our food is coming, and we will, and we will stop our talk in a minute. I would just like to know one thing. This is a great film moment. I would just like to know one thing. Speaking about criticism, could you, all of you, point out for a moment what is the importance of film criticism in our times, in the pandemic, after the pandemic? Lamia.
Oh.
From Egypt.
Tricky
and you
question.
are based in Berlin, but you write for Egypt magazines in Arab. But as well you speak some German now and English as we know. So could you just, for the people to know?
So it's really difficult to answer your question because criticism was a thing, and after the pandemic it's really a different thing. Because I think, in my opinion, during the pandemic, more people are watching films, but not in cinemas. So it's really tricky now to say what is criticism. And after many people who are making some reviews on YouTube or on some channels, it's really a question that we all shall think about and discuss more about in the future.
Thank you. Hamed or whoever. Encounters, Forum, Encounters.
Diversity, right?
Yeah, sure. I think for me, we have two main categories in Iran among the film critics. One is governmental, and the second group is independent.
Yeah. We have the same. We don't call them governmental. We say mainstream.
Mainstream. For example, the mainstream critics have our national TV. They have different TV show for critics their films, and they try to encourage a kind of special taste by facing to the cinema. But independent, some of them have some origins in the field of literature and theater and cinema. They did their work really good, and I really follow their works in the field of criticize the films. And the second point I want to mention about it, it's about the quality of criticism, you know? For example, after the pandemic, if you pay attention to the content of films, you can find some one single characters, one locations, low budget films. it's the way of film production after the pandemic because of the restriction, limitation, quarantine, and something like that. And many our film critics try to introduce this kind of film as an experimental view of cinema during the pandemic, and I really admire this because it's a kind of new approach to reach the experimental cinema.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anders,
Well,
last words.
Yeah, last words. Famous last words before it was. Anyway, no, I think it's interesting you mentioned. I would refer to those things that kind of, of course, restraints in terms of the pandemic. As I say, restraint, you have to be in one chamber, when you call it kind of chamber cinema, it's kind of theatrical thing, in one room, etc. I say, since I do have to mention this, Sweden has been, one of the few countries which haven't had any single lockdown during the pandemic. Which
we love Sweden. At least I do for it. I really do.
I will send my regards to the king. Thank you. No, but it's still.
The king is influenced by Germany for some private reasons.
You can say that, yes. There are some connections, some very true connections. Click, etc. Never mind. On a serious note, though, no, but film criticism in Sweden is, I say, it's a bit problematic in the sense of we have, I think, Germany being a much larger country than Sweden. On the other hand, Sweden and Germany is quite similar in terms of cultural context, the things of politicians, etc., ideology. I can't say it, ideologically. But anyway, you know what I mean.
Ideological.
No, Sweden can't say this word because it does not exist in Sweden.
That's a very good point. Thank you for saving me. Anyway, we do just have a couple. I say, I can count on my hand single, full-time employed professional critics. All of the critics have to do is several different occupations, which means they can't actually, devote their whole time to studying things, researching things. They have to do other things as well to make a living, which means that it's a kind of deprofessionalization of the film critic profession.
Yeah.
Obviously, that means that once you go, you don't simply have the time to attend every press screening to get the broad perspective. You catch the title every here and then, now and then. And that makes it hard to kind of build a big arch, the overarching thing, that you can get things in perspective. Which means that, anyway, in my experience, it means that some critics are, as you mentioned before, perhaps, they are handing out 4 or 5 stars to films which are really 2.5, 3 stars, because they think it works well. I became so emotional attached to it. That's not the point, to become emotionally attached. That's my point. Yeah.
We have to close now.
Yeah. In conclusion, I think film criticism in after the pandemic, you have to deal with a lot of different factors. It means what kind of audience are expecting, what kind of platform are you using, what actually is the kind of the traditional art house festivals in terms of mainstream films. I think you have to be able to judge on several different arenas and different perspectives. You can't simply be, this is a good film, it's a bad film. You have to
Anders, we will do a podcast. I'm quite sure maybe a video cast again during this week. But now we have to close and say bye-bye. We are running out of energy and we are running out of time because we will run into the cinema after this meal. Bye-bye. Tschüss.